This is a hard truth. Most people will go through their entire lives broke, not because they're dumb or anything, but because they never change the daily habits that keep them there. A few days ago, I was looking through an old box of things from when I was a teenager, and I found a notebook where I had written down my goals for the future. And right at the top of the page, written in messy handwriting, it said, "By 25, I will be rich." I think almost every teenager writes some version of that down. We look at the world, we look at the adults around us, and we think, I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to struggle in life. But then you grow up and you realize that the world isn't set up for you to win. In fact, right now, if you are a teenager or a young adult, you are living in a world that is perfectly engineered to keep you broke. And we see videos all over TikTok and YouTube of 20-year-old driving sports cars, talking about passive income and telling you that if you are not making $10,000 a month, you're failing. But that's an illusion and a lie. The reality is much quieter and much more dangerous. Most people don't stay broke because of one massive, terrible mistake. They stay broke because of 100 tiny, invisible habits that they build when they are young, habits that feel completely normal because everyone else is doing them too. Tonight, I want to talk about why most people actually stay broke. No yelling, no hustle culture nonsense. Just an honest look at the traps young people are falling into right now and the mistakes adults wish they could go back and fix. So, before we look at the spending traps, we need to talk about a massive shift happening right now in how young adults think about making money. If you look at the internet today, no one is talking about mastery anymore. No one is talking about getting good at a craft over 5 or 10 years. Instead, everyone is obsessed with what I call urgent money. Young adults aren't learning foundational skills anymore. They are looking for their immediate cash loops. They want the side hustle that pays them by next Friday. They jump from one trend to another, trying to flip things, trying to find a loophole in an algorithm, or looking for a shortcut that promises maximum reward for minimum effort. I remember when I was about 18, I fell into this exact trap. I was completely broke, and I felt this intense, suffocating pressure to make money right now. I didn't want to invest time into learning a deep skill like coding, writing, or design because those things took months to pay off. Instead, I spent months signing up for weird online survey sites, trying to flip cheap items on eBay, and looking for weird digital loopholes. I spent hundreds of hours chasing pennies because I was desperate for urgent money. And you know what happened? A year passed. I was still completely broke. Worse, I was the exact same person I was a year prior. I hadn't built any real-world capability. I had just spun my wheels in the mud. This is what guarantees a young person will stay poor in life. When you chase urgent money, you are trading your most valuable years for low-value, repetitive tasks. You aren't building human capital. If your only strategy is chasing the next quick hype train, you're always going to be at the mercy of the market. The moment that specific trend dies, you're back to zero. Adults who are broke in their 30s often spent their 20s chasing fast cash instead of building a deep, undeniable skill that the world gladly pays for. They looked for the hack rather than doing the quiet, boring work of becoming genuinely useful. So let's start with the biggest spending trap facing our generation. And it's what I call the monetization of your attention span. When older adults were young, if they wanted to buy something, they had to physically get up, walk to a store, count out paper money, and hand it to a cashier. There was friction. Your brain had time to think, do I actually need this? Today, that friction is entirely gone. We live in the era of frictionless consumption. You are scrolling through your feed. An algorithm predicts exactly what you're insecure about, shows you a product, and with a single tap of your thumb, using Apple Pay or a saved credit card, the money is gone from your account before your brain even registers that you spent it. But it's worse than that now. Right now, teens are being targeted by something called buy now, pay later services. Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. They tell you that you don't need $50 today to buy those shoes. You just need $12. They break it into 4 easy payments. What they are doing is teaching your brain a devastating habit. Spending money you haven't earned yet. When you use these services, you aren't just buying clothes or video game skins. You are literally selling your future hours. You are telling your future self, hey, you're going to have to work an extra 3 hours next month to pay for the dopamine hit I want right now. Now, And why do we do it? We do it because of the comparison trap. We are the first generation in human history that doesn't just compare ourselves to our classmates or our neighbors. We compare our everyday boring lives to the absolute highlight reels of the richest people on earth. You see a creator doing a clothing haul or showing off a luxury lifestyle. And your brain subconsciously thinks, if I don't have that, I'm falling behind. So young adults are spending every dollar they make from their part-time jobs or entry-level positions just to maintain an appearance of having money. They are buying status symbols instead of building actual stability. There's an old saying that goes, we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. It has never been truer than it is right now. If you talk to adults in their 30s, 40s or 50s who are struggling financially, and you ask them what their biggest regret was, they rarely say, I should have invested in Bitcoin. Instead, they say something much more profound. They say, I wasted my youth chasing comfort, and I didn't realize how fast time would move. When you're young, your absolute greatest financial asset isn't money, and it's time. And it's the one thing you have more of than any billionaire on earth. But because you have so much of it, it feels worthless. It feels like a resource that will never run out. So, what do most young adults do? They trade their most valuable asset for temporary comfort. They spend their weekends sleeping in, their evenings mindlessly scrolling, and their spare cash on fast food, subscriptions, and short-term entertainment. There's a psychological concept called lifestyle creep. It's the reason why adults who make $100,000 a year can still live paycheck to paycheck. When they get a raise, they don't save the difference. Instead, they get a nicer car, a bigger apartment, and more expensive habits. They upgrade their comfort to match their income. Most teenagers start this habit early. The moment they get a little bit of money from a job, their baseline of spending rises. They go from spending $0 a week to spending $80 a week on things that disappear within days: energy drinks, takeout, streaming services they don't watch. The adults who are broke today are the ones who never learned to tolerate a little bit of discomfort when they were young. They wanted the nice lifestyle immediately, so they financed it with debt. They bought the car they couldn't afford on a 5-year loan. They put vacations on credit cards. They sacrificed their 30s and 40s just so their 20s could look fun. So how do you avoid this? How do you make sure you don't look back in 10 years with that same heavy feeling of regret? It's not by joining a secret masterclass or trying to find a shortcut to wealth. The antidote to being broke is actually very boring. It requires you to be unpopular, and it requires you to be patient. First, you have to accept a hard truth. You cannot buy your way into belonging. The desire to look rich is the number one thing that keeps people poor. Real financial freedom doesn't look like a shiny new car or a designer shirt. It looks like having enough money in the bank that if your car breaks down or you lose your job, your life doesn't fall apart. It looks like not being trapped just because you owe money to a credit card company. If you're a teenager right now, the best thing you can do is learn to live below your means while it's still easy to do so. If you can save even $20 a week and put it somewhere where you won't touch it, you are building a muscle that 90% of adults don't have. The muscle of delayed gratification. Philosophy teaches us that wealth isn't determined by how much you own, but by how little you desire. Epicurus once wrote, "If you wish to make a man wealthy, do not add to his money, but subtract from his desires." The internet is going to keep shouting at you. It's going to keep telling you that you need more, that you need it faster, and that you are failing if you are just a regular kid living a regular life. But don't listen to the noise. Build your foundation quiet. Take care of your time. Don't sell your future hours for things that will end up in a landfill next year. Thanks for sitting with me tonight. Go get some rest and take care of yourself.